morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning, good morning. For those of you who are watching me on YouTube and on Instagram, we moved our live broadcast from the A.Lawful Truth page on Facebook to the Divine Mother Diva page. The reason why is I can upload from my app straight into Divine Mother Diva page so you can see the guests. The sound is much clearer. If I could do the same thing with Instagram, I would. So it would be from one application and all of you would be able to see me. So far, I've been able to do it now on the Divine Mother Diva page and on YouTube. So you'll be able to see me clearly. I'm looking straight at the screen, doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm trying to figure out how to move from within this app into IG. The app that I'm using right now, Riverside, does not allow me to go into IG yet. Once that happens, then I'll be streaming live everywhere from the one application, and then I won't have to do all of what I'm doing right now. So I am grateful that we've been able to do it. It would not allow me to do it on the A.Lawful Truth page because it is a business page. So the Divine Mother Diva page is where you can go on Facebook, Divine Mother Diva, just the way it sounds, Divine Mother Diva. You'll see a caricature of me that was drawn by Randy Hayes Martin's brother so many years ago. That's the picture that you will see there, and you'll see my logo that has been trademarked in the page. So go there and you'll be able to watch me just as beautifully as you can, and along with on YouTube, A.LawfulTruth Enterprises, and on Instagram. Again, same issue. Instagram will not allow me to use my business page unless I have 1,000 followers there. I'm not quite there yet, and so I have to do it from my IG page, ISLD Island Diva. So you'll see me there, and then I'll tag the A.Lawful Truth page so that folks over there can see it too. Who doing this work is no diggity dang joke, but we are here. Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 10th. I just realized this morning that yesterday was the mayor of Philadelphia's birthday. I think it was yesterday. There were a bunch of people wishing her a happy birthday. So now we know she's a Virgo, right? And so I hope you had a great day, madame, because, life is just happening all around us. As always, I am trying to navigate the news and what's going on for all of you so that you can, get a clearer picture. I have Shakila Strawberry on at 7:00 to talk about her program that's happening on Saturday from 12 to 4 p.m. Catherine Gilmore Richardson, myself, and a few others will be there to have a discussion about it. And it's around children who are on the autism wheel, because let me tell you, it seems like 1 in every 4 child is born on the spectrum wheel somewhere. I've heard too many stories about it, and I really need you all to become engaged and involved in the process, because chances are it's going to impact you, or it has impacted you, or it's impacting you right now in your families. And so we need to, 1, remove the stigma from it, 2, really learn and try and figure out, what that means for families, depending on where your child falls on the autism wheel. They no longer say spectrum; it's a wheel. And then we have RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, telling us that we don't have to. He's looking at that vaccines, that he's looking at the correlation between vaccinations and autism in children. Many people have wanted to learn about that for years, but he's also taken away so many other things that could help us in our health and well-being. So pay attention to all of that. And then there is news reporting that wealthy Americans are making plans, that they have begun, putting their monies quietly. They're taking their American dollars and turning it into gold. They're buying second passports, so if they can get passports from another country, they're doing that. And they are quietly, and they've found smaller properties outside of the United States because they believe that a financial crash is coming. You know how hard it is to soak up this stuff every single day. every single day, right? So it's something to navigate. And meanwhile, I'm over here telling y'all the basic stuff about your go bags and all this other stuff that's going on. So I'm going to read a little bit of news. The phone line is open, 215-400-0146. We can do that. I also saw the person who was the vice president, Mike, I can't remember his last name now, who used to be the vice president of Pfizer, and he was talking about this 10-year plan that Bill Gates and someone else had, which started years ago, but it really, he said COVID was the first part of it in 2020. He claims by 2030, which is only 4 years and like 3 months. He claims by 2030 we will not be living in our own homes, that we will not own our own cars, that there's going to be this different economy, and everybody's going to be, we won't have a choice but to go into this economy as it's being laid out. And so he believes that right now all the chaos that we're seeing around us is deliberate, and so we just need to be prepared as however possible. So there's a lot going on. And so, kind of navigating through all of that. So, good morning to all of you. I'm going to look at some of your messages. For those of you just joining me, you can see me now beautifully on the Divine Mother Diva page on Facebook. If you are there and you can see me, let me know, right? Because you can actually comment and I can see you on the one application. So that's a beautiful thing. For those of you who are on Instagram, I'm trying to figure out how to get that same application to work with IG. So I'm just looking straight ahead here instead of having to try and talk to you on this side. Oh, Laura, thank you for saying that. Laura said it's hard, and we appreciate you for coming on every morning and doing this. Marguerite said the autism wheel discussion is absolutely, Marguerite, absolutely. I'm talking to friends who have grandchildren and children they were born, like they looked and they noticed that they're not moving at the same pace as everyone else, and they're trying to find out how they navigate, only to hear autism. That name, that diagnosis is happening way more than you can even begin to imagine. And so we're going to have a dialogue about it. There will be a conference. Thank you, Viola. There will be a conference on Saturday in West Philly. And I'm looking at the church. Christian Compassion. At Christian Compassion Church, myself, Catherine Gilmore Richardson, and a few others will be presenting there. I'm moderating a panel at that point. So it's incredibly important that you all pay attention to this discussion that Shaquila Strawberry and I are going to be having at 7 o'clock this morning, because we just cannot, right? I know many people who are on the autism wheel that you would say they're a little quirky. You can't really tell because at the high end of the spectrum. And one of my sisters believed she's on the autism wheel. Good morning, Lisa Gamble. And I agree with her. I look at my husband sometimes and I'm like, you're on the wheel. I believe my husband is on the spectrum, but he's brilliant as hell. So children who are on the autism wheel, they learn differently, but they're brilliant. The way they see things and they don't walk around with the ideologies that most of us do because we're conditioned to think and feel a certain way. My husband has 5 degrees, gets on my last everlasting nerve because of the way he thinks, right? But you see the brilliance in him. And he's not been diagnosed. I'm diagnosing him. And every time I look at him, I go, yeah, they should have done something with you because, you're a little interesting and different. But he is one of the folks that I look at. And my sister, who also works in the banking industry and is brilliant in what she does, right? People absolutely love her. She believes she's on the spectrum some kind of way. So we need to have dialogue and talk about these things and not make it a thing that, is to be ashamed of, et cetera, et cetera. I know, and I wasn't diagnosed, that I am ADD. You just know, like the brain is just all over the place. And so I'm grateful that this space is where we can talk about what matters in our families and stop creating the space of shame for people to live and digest in. So the other thing that I'm going to tell you is that one of my podcast episodes for season 4 is for children with parents with transgender children. I'm so excited. I'm about to record that interview. It's going to be done a little differently because I want to be protective of the children and of the parents. But I'm looking forward, and I'm grateful that these families reached out and said, we trust you to have this conversation. We trust that you will absolutely get it. We trust that we'll be safe with you in having this dialogue. So I'm excited in a great way to talk to families who have just been going through, right? Viola says there's so many levels of autism, so many. And so we just want to make sure that we're able to have these conversations. And so thank you to the families in advance. I'm looking forward to it. My producer was like, how did you get this to happen? I said, don't worry about it. They reached out to me. And so we're going to talk every season in the A Lawful Truth podcast. We curate the kinds of topics that will be helpful to the families, and they call and say, can we talk about this? We've talked about kidney health. I'm thinking about my friend Antoine Johnson, who is still looking for a kidney. I'm thinking, we talked about prostate cancer health. We've talked about, Lord Jesus, we've talked about homelessness. My friend Diane Mapp, she came on and began having a conversation about how she ended up in a shelter and gave birth to twins in a shelter, and one of them passed away, and what she had to deal with to get to where she is now. We are having the conversations that, damn it, nobody wants to talk about. We pretend like our families are absolutely wonderful. Mr. Sanders, if you're listening to me, can you come on down here and turn on my air conditioner, please? Because I forgot to do it, and I'm starting to feel a little hot under all these lights. But we talk about the things that folks wouldn't ordinarily discuss with anybody else, or go into that topic. I want to have on this season episode of season 4 season 4 episode season 4 of the podcast. I want to talk to Black women who have either experienced unemployment and are trying to figure it out. Again, if you do not want your faces to be shown, we'll just use your voice, we'll change your name, all of the things, or we'll blur you, whatever you want us to do. Or young people who have graduated from college and you are just struggling right now, can't keep a job, not because you don't want to have a job, because what they're saying is most people now are using ChatGPT to push out a resume, and the companies are using an AI software to let them know if the resumes were built through ChatGPT. Crazy, right? And then they just recycle it and throw it in the bin because they're saying you're not using your original voice. So it is important, y'all. It is important. None of what I write is thrown into ChatGPT. So when I put stuff out on social media, that's my because I'm constantly creating a space to keep using my brain and keeping it active. If you're throwing everything into AI, and I'm not saying that you can't, I can say you can write a report and then throw that report into AI to clean it up. But your voice, you have to use your original voice. You can't just say write a report on blah 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 blah. You have to write the report. That's what I do. I write the report, talk about what is going on, and the AI just cleans it up. So I'm still forcing myself to use my brain as much as I possibly can. And that's purposeful. Good morning, Roslyn. Good morning to all of you. So I'm going to read a little bit of news. I went to see my eye doctor yesterday for something, to drop something off to her, some file actually. And I said, I'm not able to sleep. And I've been telling my team, I had a major meeting with my team 2 days ago. And I said, I can't, I will fall asleep. And I don't know how many of you are struggling to go to sleep or to stay asleep once you get to sleep. And she said to me, you're not eating enough protein. And I looked at her. I said, what the Sam? In my head, I'm like, what the Sam? And she said, go home, put some your protein powder together that I told you to do, add your stuff for iron, add bone broth, right? She said, blend it all together, take that. She said, that's going to be about 60 grams of protein on one shot. Then she said, eat 2 boiled eggs, and in about 5 minutes or so, you'll feel, don't you know it worked? Don't you know it worked? I didn't feel lethargic anymore. She said, you can't lift weights at the rate that you're lifting and not eat the protein. And the amount of protein that you have to eat, especially as we age, plus lifting, is a lot. And so it wasn't easy to do, but I did it. And then before I went to bed, I had hummus and pita, and I woke up this morning feeling like a whole new person. So sometimes we think that, there's something really wrong with us. For me, it was, I'm not eating enough protein. And she said, when you don't eat enough protein and you lift the way that you do, it will damage your heart and your brain. Well, that made sense. I was like, all right, I'm going to go home and make my protein, right? So this morning I woke up, I had another one of those shakes, and I had 2 boiled eggs because I'm going to lift today. And I'm telling you all of this because we do this. We get out and we tell, and we listen to our trainers who say you got to eat more protein. And we're like, no, there's no way I can possibly. Don't do it to yourselves. Do not do it to yourselves. So this is where we are right now. I'm going to read a little bit of news for all of you. Tomorrow is the Love Is segment. I have PHA coming back on so we can talk about the crisis. I asked them to send Mr. Jeremiah to me so we can talk about the crisis in housing right now, what's happening at the federal level and how it's impacting us here locally. You all are very aware because, and I knew, we've been hearing about it for months coming, that SNAP food stamps, as you would normally call it, if you don't work 20 hours a week, your food stamps are going to be taken away from you. You got to have some solid reason, and they're going to look and make sure that that solid reason is actually what it is. So things are shifting and changing. You no longer are these programs just available to you simply because it's what you want to have, right? Just so much going on. Hi, David. Good morning, my darling. Hi, Angela. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So that's where we are. Oh, Lord. So we need you to get ready. David, I know you're watching. And so I had a whole conversation yesterday about Eric Adams getting on the air talking about this gold bag. And I was like, damn it, David and I have been talking about this ish forever. You are seeing more and more pieces about the wealthy planning to leave, planning to get citizenship elsewhere, planning to buy their passport, condensing their money because they do believe that a market crash is coming. In fact, JP Morgan Chase put out a thing yesterday saying that something's coming. The stocks are going to start to plummet. We have to figure out what we're doing and how we're doing. And is today, yes, tomorrow is also the first day back at City Council. Morning, my darling. Marguerite says, yep, since I have been adding more protein, I have been feeling much better and sleeping more soundly. I eat most of my protein early morning and midday. I'm right there with you, Marguerite. I am right there with you. So we just got to do what we have to do if we're going to want to live weights. And I am strong. So the amount of weights that I can lift, but I'm so grateful that Audra is, inching it up incrementally versus let me clean and press 120 pounds, 140 pounds over my head. I can do it. But as I am aging, I have to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm telling you all of this so that you understand too, that you cannot do certain things without doing some other things, right? Good morning. The phone lines are open 215-400-0146 if you want to call in. It's also in the chat. At the very top of the chat, you will see it there. We are here. And so let me read a little bit of news for all of you. Tomorrow is my dear friend Lorraine Ballard Morrow's birthday. So we're going to celebrate her today and tomorrow and in the upcoming days. She has just been a delightful human being. That sister's been at my wedding. She has shown up for all sorts of things. And so I'm grateful to her and the space that she's, had in my life and so many others. Many of you know her from iHeartRadio, WDAS FM. She's just a beautiful, beautiful soul. All right. So let's see. I'm going to do a little bit of news. This is national. President Donald Trump declined to comment on the letter he allegedly signed for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday book in 2003, calling it a dead issue when asked by NBC News. I don't comment on something that's a dead issue. I gave all comments to the staff. It's a dead issue, Trump said on Tuesday morning. According to NBC News, on Monday, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released an image of the birthday message allegedly sent by Trump after the panel received documents and communications from Epstein's estate. Trump's denied writing the letter, calling it fake after the Wall Street Journal first reported on the birthday book and the alleged contribution from Trump in mid-July. Trump also filed a $10 billion defamation lawsuit against the newspaper. Dow Jones, the parent company of the Journal, said it has full confidence in the accuracy of the reporting. Lord have mercy. I don't know whether there's so many things going on right now. There is the Epstein files, and as David talked about, he said it's not just Donald Trump in there. There are government leaders from across the world, leaders in these United States, some of them in Congress and in Senate that were a part of Jeffrey Epstein, and what was going on there. So they really don't want that to happen, and they're trying to figure out. Everybody's pretending like they want this to come out, but we're not really sure what's going to happen. And as we are concentrated on these Epstein files, war is breaking out everywhere. In Nepal, the citizenry went into the government offices when stuff started to fall apart in the country again very recently, and said, "Listen, we're not taking this." The prime minister has stepped down. The folks are they're tearing the country apart because they're sick and tired of what's going on there in Ukraine, Russia, Qatar. Israel attacked Qatar, and there's this back and forth around what should happen there. Russia and Ukraine. Russia is doing what Russia is doing. There are war boats, warships all around the Caribbean. Right, David talked about warships being stationed here and at the Navy Yard and elsewhere. And yesterday, while I was getting far, I saw one by Penn's Landing. Nothing wrong with the ship. I had never seen a warship up close. Right, so there are all these things happening, and then in this country, there's all kinds of chaos happening that doesn't feel like chaos now, because we're all just saying this keeps happening, and we're just going to be all right, and this can't be. What is in front of us just cannot be. The U.S. border, the first thing that I read was by 6abc.com. The U.S. Border Patrol official who led the controversial immigration enforcement raids in Southern California this summer has arrived in Chicago, a new target of the Trump administration's escalating crackdown on illegal immigration. Two people familiar with the matter told CBS News. The official, Gregory Bovino, is in Chicago area as federal officials vow to initiate a blitz of arrests in the region targeting immigrants suspected of being in the U.S. illegally, according to the sources who requested anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to the press. Bovino was the top Border Patrol agent in California's El Centro sector until he was given command of a broader immigration enforcement campaign across the state in June. This was written by CBSNews.com. I saw an interview with Sotomayor, the Supreme Court Justice. She was on a late night talk show a couple of days ago, and the host asked her, what is happening here? And she said, you saw my dissent. She was very careful about what she said, but what she said, there were three things. The third thing was that they put in why they were allowing this to happen in Los Angeles is that they believe that people in low-paying jobs, they're looking for certain groups of people who are taking day jobs and low-paying jobs are what they're coming and scraping up, and that's mostly Latino people that are in that space right now. And so the question was, there are plenty of folks who are living here who can't find jobs, who are taking low-paying jobs. Does that make them a target? It's insane what's going on in this country. Apple unveils its latest iPhone 17 lineup, and I just want you to know the Apple 16 Pro was almost $2,000. It is now $1,099. So Apple saw that people realized that they were making these phones for $2 and $200 in China and selling it to us for X amount of money. So they're unveiling these new phones where the top one is now $1,099. So it says Apple has unveiled its new iPhone 17 lineup along with updates to its digital watches and AirPod products at its annual September product launch. The new iPhones are the first to be released since President Donald Trump returned to the White House and unleashed a barrage of tariffs in what his administration says is an attempt to bring overseas manufacturing back to the United States, a crusade that has thrust Apple CEO Tim Cook into the hot hot seat. The new devices come with a larger 6.3-inch display and is powered by a new A19 chip to help power Apple AI's features. The iPhone 17's front camera has also been upgraded to have a wider field of view and new sensor, allowing you to take landscape photos without having to rotate your phone. That was written by 6abcnews.com. A decade-long slide in high schoolers' reading and math performances persisted during the COVID-19 pandemic, with 12th graders' scores dropping to their lowest levels in more than 20 years. According to results released Tuesday from an exam known as the Nation's Report Card. Eighth grade students also lost significant ground in science skills, according to the results from the National Assessments of Education Progress. The assessments were the first since the pandemic for eighth graders in science and 12th graders in reading and math. They reflect a downward drift across grade levels and subject areas in previous releases from NAEP, which is considered one of the best gauges of the academic progress of U.S. schools. I'm trying to tell you, this was written by NBC Philadelphia. Listen to this. Lord have mercy. Dorian Johnson, who was with Michael Brown when the black 18-year-old was shot dead by a white police officer in a 2014 Missouri shooting that triggered nationwide protests, was killed in a shooting Sunday, authorities said. The killing of Brown on August 9, 2014 in Ferguson fueled the demonstrations around the country in which people chanted, "Hands up, don't shoot." Johnson witnessed the shooting and told media outlets what he saw. Johnson was fatally shot Sunday morning, also in Ferguson, authorities said. St. Louis County prosecuting attorney Melissa Price Smith said Johnson's killing appears to be a domestic incident following a claim of self-defense. One person was arrested but released after a maximum hold time of 24 hours expired without charges, she said. NBC Philadelphia put this article up. No worries. A Michigan judge dismissed criminal charges Tuesday against a group of people who were accused of attempting to falsely certify President Donald Trump as the winner of the 2020 election in the battleground states, a major blow to prosecutors as similar cases in 4 other states have been muddied with setbacks. District Court Judge Kristen D. Simmons said in a court hearing that the 15 Republicans accused will not face trial. The case has dragged through the court since Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, a Democrat, announced the charges over 2 years ago. Simmons said she saw no intent to commit fraud in the defendants' actions, whether they were right, wrong, or indifferent. They seriously believe there were problems with the election, the judge says. Y'all are paying attention? Are we paying attention? Are we paying attention? Listen, Viola says, and David talking about the iPhone, the new iPhone. He says, and what features have been added to spy on us? Don't even get me started. Viola says, I will be satisfied with the iPhone I had. I said the same thing, Viola. I listened to my husband and I said, yeah, no, we're not doing that. He started laughing. Laverne, good morning, darling. How are you? Marguerite says, people are so easily distracted. We let our sensationalism use our mental bandwidth instead of digesting stuff that is really affecting our livelihood. And that's intentional, Marguerite, so that by the time it's creeping, someone's, the Atlantic, Lord, would I be able to find it? No worries. Where a woman said that she was living in Venezuela when Cesar Chavez was prime minister, president, and everything that's happening in America now was what he was doing then. And she said, people kept saying, kind of like I've been saying, and David had been saying, and others have been saying, this ish is coming. It's here. It's upon us. And she said, everybody kept saying, no, because we've gone through another year and all is well and all is well. And Chavez died in 2013. And she said, and the economy just started crumbling. So she said, fascism fascism and authoritarianism is not a loud thing. It happens quietly. The banks, things have been taken over. People are being found not guilty of doing the most criminal offenses. Things start happening around the country, and we're like, no, well, we're still okay. I can still travel to different parts around the world. One of the things that the ex vice president from Pfizer said on recording, he said, I've lost my family. I've lost a bunch of money. He said, but one of the other things that's coming by 2030 is we won't be able to get on planes and go anywhere anymore. Only the wealthiest of the wealthiest in the military will be able to fly. This man says, I stand by what I said. And simply because you all are doing really well right now, he said, it's to continue to distract you, to keep spending your money and doing things so that when push comes to shove, you will not be able to do anything but acquiesce to what you're being asked to do. Right. Yes. David is hilarious. Good morning, Tamara. Good morning to all of you. So here we are. Shakila is going to join us shortly. She says a little bit of a delay. Ruby, good morning, Ruby, my darling. Good morning. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning to all of you. Have a great day in school today, Ruby. I know you're here listening to us. For the rest of you, let's just keep having this conversation. A suspect turned himself into police in connection to recent vandalism incidents at the Weizmann National Museum of American Jewish History in Philadelphia. According to officials, on August 18th, security cameras allegedly captured a person spray painting the museum walls and outside areas with red paint around 4:43 a.m., police said. Then, in a second report by police, by the museum's manager, a person had allegedly spray painted more sections of the museum's outside areas on August 25th. So this was written by NBC Philadelphia. I remember going to the dentist and sitting there waiting to get my teeth cleaned, and my surgeon, oral surgeon, walked in the room. He said, I thought that was you. And he began talking to me, and he said, it feels good to be Jewish because at least we are not being targeted. And I looked at him and I said, really? And just began giving him chapter, verse, and everything else. And he looked at me and he said, Andrea, you're absolutely correct. We're, nobody is safe in where we are right now. And he apologized. I said, don't apologize to me. Just don't say that to anybody else. Just don't say that. Please don't. Let me see what else is happening here. Oh, Lord. Viola says, whites down here are very quiet, where she is in Delaware. And she says, and it's a heavy Republican area. Yeah, I see you, Shakila. Hold on. I'm coming, darling. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, my darling. How are you? Okay, let's see. Oh, Lord. Let Shakila Strawberry in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Turn down the TV.
Say that again.
I can hear my voice. Turn that down, please.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So, I can still hear my voice. Yeah. Can you whatever you're watching where you can see me, turn that all the way down. I shouldn't hear myself. Good morning, Ed Brown. How are you? All right.
I'm trying to see what to do.
Hold on. I can faintly hear myself now.
All right,
so that's better. Shakila Strawberry is a passionate educator, advocate, and founder of ADE, Audacity to Dare to Educate, a nonprofit dedicated to closing. I can still hear myself, Shakila. Whatever that is, you got to turn it off.
I'm trying to figure out.
It's messing with our interview.
Sorry.
That's okay, sweetie pie. I think that's better. Okay. Shakila Strawberry is the passionate educator, advocate, and founder of ADE, Audacity to Dare to Educate, a nonprofit dedicated to closing the equity gap in special education, one unique mind at a time. Her journey into advocacy deepened when her own child was diagnosed with dyslexia, dysgraphia, and ADHD. Despite her background as a PhD student, Shakila found the evaluation process confusing and inequitable, a reality that ignited her commitment to ensuring all neurodivergent children receive the services they deserve. I'm not even going to go into the rest of it. We're going to talk about her um, uh, back to school night. Is that what we're talking about? The back to
Mm-hmm.
school night event?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Is that what we're doing on Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So she's going to talk about her back to school event that is taking place on September 13th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. at 6150 Cedar Avenue in Philadelphia. It's Christian Compassion Church, correct?
The CDC, the Community of Compassion CDC.
Okay, turn
Hmm.
up your volume a little bit for me, sweetie pie. Just a little bit. Because they won't be able to hear
Okay.
you
Is that
on
better?
Instagram at all.
Is that
Um,
better?
oh, way better. Yes, Black Jesus. Thank you,
Okay.
Jesus. Okay. Ed Brown, good morning, my darling. I still need to talk to you, so we'll figure that piece out. Let's have a discussion about, let's talk about your own child first. What happened?
Okay.
How old was your baby when you started to notice that there were some neurodivergent issues uh, with him?
Honestly, I started noticing in kindergarten, to be quite honest.
Okay.
Yeah, like we would study for tests, and then by the time he got to the test, he didn't remember any of it.
Okay.
He was doing the stereotypical writing things backwards, but
Mm-hmm.
um, everybody kept saying, "Oh, that'll change," right? He was very into like a lot of audio stuff, but it was like I said, it was just hard for him to kind of grasp the concept of reading altogether. Little other things like he everything was backwards. He put his clothes on backwards, couldn't tie his shoes, like stuff like that. Like no matter how
Mm-hmm.
much you try to reinforce it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was around kindergarten. But we did other things like which we thought was working, like positive reinforcement. I was that mom that was always at the school, right? So if he did well behaviorally or anything else, like I actually remember taking a pot of lasagna up to the school, like a pan of lasagna, just making sure that he was encouraged throughout the process.
Yeah. Hold on one second. For those of you who are on Instagram that might not be able to hear her, you have two other options. Yeah. So marvelous. Come on over to YouTube, which is A.LawfulTruth Enterprises. You'll know it's the page because you'll see me in an orange dress with a purple jacket. Or you can go on Facebook to Divine Mother Diva page. DIVINEMUVA page. You'll see it clearly and you'll see her and you'll hear her clearly from both these platforms. Sometimes it's more difficult to do it on Instagram, right? Because I'm not able to push them all into one spot yet. So
Hmm.
come on over to those two places and you'll be able to see and hear us clearly. Marguerite says the CDC is across the church. So it's a
Yes, it's
Christian
across the street.
Compassionate, but it's right across the church, right across the church. So from 12 to 4 p.m.
Hmm.
So you have decided now, is this when did you decide to do this back to school event? How many years have you been doing this?
This is our second year. Last year
Second
was
year.
our first year. We had a great, amazing turnout. And we did it with, I don't know if you know Arthur Brent Johnstone
I
of
do.
Fathers
Hmm.
Read These
Hmm.
65. He was on a panel.
Hmm.
Dr. Tracy Johnson Rockmore, she's amazing when it comes to dyslexia in the city. She was
Hmm.
on a panel. Um, my son actually was on a panel last year.
Yeah. How old is he
And
now?
yeah, he is now 17. Yeah, he's
He's
17.
17.
He's
Shut the
17.
front door.
Yeah,
Why did
he
I think
just
he was like
turned
9 or
17.
10?
No,
Oh
no,
wow.
so now he's 17. But
Hmm.
so this year we have a great panel as well. So I'm really excited. Um, we have Daniel Everett, who's a retired Army sergeant, who and he'll tell you his story, but we actually went to school together,
Hmm.
and he did not get identified till he was in the army. Um, yeah, yeah, dropped out of high school. His story is amazing, though.
Okay.
And then We have Journey Barrett, who is autistic, and his father has an amazing story that he didn't even realize that his child was autistic, like nonverbal autistic, because he was, yes, because he understood him. So it took somebody else to say, "Hey, you might want to, get that checked out or
Mm.
whatever." And then I'm so excited to have King. I met him at Sheriff Bilal's autism resource fair in April, and he owns a boxing ring here in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. So just young people doing amazing things. And then Catherine Gilmore Richardson will share her story. I don't want to tell her story
Yes.
for her,
Mhm.
but she will share her story. And I'm just excited for everybody to hear from all of our panelists. And then we
Mhm.
will have the CDC broken up just like back to school night. So the teachers in the room will be our specialists. So what I do every day is I'm a dyslexic specialist as well as what we call an MTSS teacher. So I do small group, but I use my dyslexia training to increase reading scores for students.
Mhm.
And then we'll have a math specialist, we'll have a guidance counselor, because again, we talk about special education. We don't want to talk about the mental health and behavioral
Yeah.
health portion, but
Yes.
she will be there to help parents understand this is what it looks like when your child comes to see me.
Mhm.
This is what it looks like when I'm in the IEP, right? This
Mhm.
is what that looks like.
Mhm. And is there someone there? Is there a parent advocate that will encourage the parents on how to walk through? Because an IEP process, I have been to hundreds of them, and that the parent has the right to bring someone in the room with them to
Right,
help them navigate what that
right.
process looks like, because it's never a good look when the parent is sitting in the room and there's seven other people sitting around the table using all kinds of acronyms, and the parent doesn't understand. First of all,
At all.
they are just distraught about what's going on with their child, and then
Mm-hmm.
have to sit in a room at a table with people who are looking at them going, we know what we're talking about, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to.
Mm-hmm.
We know what's best for your child. That they
Mm-hmm.
that there are laws, chapter 14 and 16 laws, that would help them, that they have several certain amount of rights as
Right.
parents. Ask me how I know
Absolutely.
all of this stuff. Y'all
I-
just think I'm a radio host. No, 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 no. Been doing
which
this
is
thing.
why I asked you to come on, Andrea, because I
Yeah, well, I'm going to
knew.
moderate the conversation.
Yes, you
That's getting ready
are.
to happen, because it is
Yes.
absolutely important. And so I am encouraging every parent, whether you have a
Mm-hmm.
neurodivergent child or not. I
Or
hope the
not.
CDC can hold all these people
They can.
to
They can. They can.
to come to 6150, let me see, Cedar Avenue.
Cedar
The
Avenue.
event is from 12 to 4 p.m. She did talk about, the panel discussion is moderated by yours truly, Journey Barron, a 16-year-old high school junior, King Jarman, 15-year-old owner of Kingdom Boxing Gym, Councilwoman Catherine Gilmore Richardson from Philadelphia Council at Large, and Daniel Everett, husband and father of six. This morning, when I got on the air, I was talking about the fact that one of my sisters, she kept saying, I believe I
Mm.
am on the wheel. And
Mm.
one of my other sisters says, stop talking foolishness. You've made it to this point. You're almost 50 years old. She said, I've been screaming this. She said,
Yes.
when she hears certain
Yes.
noises, she has to cover her ears
Cover her
and run out
ear.
the room, right? Certain
Mm-hmm.
things get to her. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and as we started listening, I was like, oh my God. So she's going to go
Yeah.
get herself tested. She
That's
made
what's
it
that's
to
amazing.
50.
But that's amazing, right? And I think the beauty of it is, and I don't know her story, but there are a lot of people that make it. They end up with coping mechanisms, right? Where they can compensate or overcompensate for
Yeah.
whatever the deficit
Yeah.
is. But
Mhm.
Andrea, you and I know that there are a lot of people that don't, right? And there are a lot of
Absolutely.
people that struggle. And I think I've said this on your show before, but like the majority of kids in our juvenile detention centers have IEP. They had an
Yeah.
IEP, right?
Mhm.
And one other thing I want to say about Saturday, we're also encouraging teachers to come, Andrea. We have a specific person there, Jamila Bashir, the
Mhm.
IEP coach. She will be giving a professional development for teachers.
Mhm.
So if teachers come and they register,
Mhm.
They'll have their own PD session, and
Yeah.
we'll make sure they get certificates so they
Mhm.
can take it back
Mhm.
to their
And PD is
prospective
professional
school.
development. I always try to
Yes,
encourage that we use the whole
yes.
word instead of the acronym because
I'm
sometimes people don't.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
But yeah,
worries. No
one of the
worries.
things I found as a mom when I first started this journey, I was so angry at teachers, so angry at teachers.
And
And
they're
then when I
doing their
became,
best.
they are, and when I became one, and teachers were walking around asking me what dyslexia was, I said, "Oh, well, you really don't know, right? Like they
Mhm.
didn't know what dysgraphia was. Y'all just
What is dysgraphia?
Dysgraphia is the disability in written expression. So if you see people, now my old teacher would call it chicken scratch, right? Like you can't understand, like their handwriting is so illegible, and they have all these thoughts up here, but they can't write them on paper. That's dysgraphia. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Laverne says, yep. And if they didn't or don't have an IEP, it's because the parents denied them. Right? Parents were saying things like, I don't want my child to be identified as such and such and
It
such.
is a both and.
Yes.
I will
Yeah.
say that. Like
Yes.
there are some parents that try to get their kids identified, and if it, again, sometimes if it's not affecting their education in a certain way, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like you really, like Andrea said, you really do have to advocate. If you know
Yes.
there's something different, you know there's something different. And the
Hmm.
other part, Laverne, is, and I think I put this on my page the other day, like we have to own it as the system. We
Hmm.
have vilified special education so
Hmm.
much that it's time for us to really rewrite the narrative to what's the truth so parents really don't feel fearful about getting their
Right.
kids identified.
Right. I saw it. Marguerite asked a question, and this, because I have a cousin who is on the autism wheel, and we moved him. I remember going into the Philadelphia school district with him, with his mom, my cousin, my second cousin, and they
Hmm.
were just treating her any old kind of way. I said, "Here's what you're going to do. You're going to sell your house and move to Abington." I said, "I got you." He comes over to Abington, and the services were so incredible
So
for him.
different.
I
Hmm.
was just about getting on the school board, never told the special ed teacher that I was his cousin. We were actually, was at the high school. So he started at elementary school. He was at the high school one day, and he said, "Cousin." And she turned and she said, "That's your cousin?" And I
Oh
said, "I've
wow.
been following you. You're doing a phenomenal job. We just never told anybody. How about he went to Temple and graduated?
That's
How
what's
about that?
up.
How about that?"
That's what's
But it
up.
took all of us to get involved and engaged in
Yes.
his
Yes.
process to make sure that he
Yes.
was okay, right?
Yes.
So
So we will have the
mhm,
Autism Center of America, the Philadelphia chapter.
mhm,
She will be there. Her name is
mhm,
Jackie
mhm,
Marguerite, and she will be able to let you know the services they provide
yeah,
for those who are on the autism spectrum.
yeah,
One of the hardest things I have encounter, honestly, Andrea, is getting volunteers who are autistic specialists. I would love that. And so we are actually having an event next month, and like I would love an autistic specialist to be there.
mhm.
But that's one of the things that I've yeah, I've struggled to
Okay, so
find.
you need volunteers who are autistic specialists, but I
Yes.
also feel like we need parents who have walked the walk
Oh,
to
I
help
absolutely,
the
absolutely,
parents who are now being newly diagnosed with their children,
absolutely,
because there's so,
absolutely.
when I tell you there's so many of them, it feels like one
Oh,
in
I know.
four.
I know. No, I know. I
And school
know.
districts and schools are calling and saying, we don't know what to do with
We don't know what
these
to do.
children,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So Siri says, "Good morning. Fear has kept my family from approaching this topic with my
Mm-hmm.
family member. He is an adult, and when we get close to asking him, he gets super defensive and a little hostile. How do
Mm-hmm.
we navigate through that? Is there any answer to that at all?"
I'll be quite honest with you. My 17-year-old is like, I don't want to, own it, right? Like,
Mhm,
so I think it's a matter of, again, how we have to be careful how we talk about it. So
mhm,
one of the things I tell people, one of the first things I tell people, I never use the word disability. I always use the word either neurodiversity or difference, but I never use the word disability.
Okay.
And one of the main reasons I don't is because the majority of these kids, when you look at when they get the proper services, they soar. And
Yes.
so it just seems to me if we got them the services sooner, we are the ones that's handicapped. And I don't mean personally,
Right.
right? But the system, the way it's set up, is the one that's handicapping them. So
Mm.
in that regard, it's not a disability, right? It's the
Mhm.
fact that we haven't provided the proper supports. So
Yeah.
again, so in that realm, we don't go, oh, I see something wrong or I see something off. Like when you use words like that, then people feel less than, right?
Yes.
Or they feel like something's wrong, right? So we don't want to, we just want to be very careful of the language we use. So then what you do is you try to find whatever that strength is. Most people with neurodiversities have a specific, like, it's like right there, right?
Mhm.
You hone in on that strength and you be like, why are you so good at X? Let's try to dig deep about why you're so
Mhm.
good at X. So
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. A lot of autistic people are very good, right, at STEM, right? Like, so those types of
Mr.
things,
Sanders.
right? That's what I'm saying. So, like, you kind of dig deep that way. Do you
Mhm.
understand what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, and once you
Mhm.
dig deep that way,
Mhm.
then you can kind of get to the back door. But
Yeah.
too often we
Brilliant,
work
just
off of
absolutely
deficits.
brilliant. And
Yeah.
my cousin who is on the wheel, who just graduated from Temple, musically, oh my God.
Yes. Oh my goodness, right? My son could teach. He figured it out. He'll read, like he'll listen to a YouTube.
Hmm.
He'll get the stickers and he'll literally teach himself how to play an instrument. No matter what instrument it is, he'll teach
Hmm.
himself how to play an instrument.
Hmm.
He can know
You know,
computer backwards and forwards,
I
right? Like,
often I
yeah.
often wonder if children on the wheel are the brilliant ones and we're just the mediocre. I ain't lying. I said what I
Listen,
said.
listen. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, though, Andrea, what you're saying is exactly what I'm in trying to encourage us to do, right?
Hmm.
Like at the end of the day, the strength is there. We're just so busy looking at the
Hmm.
deficit that we don't
Yes,
see
that we
it.
don't see the brilliance in the children.
Hmm.
Laverne says it's the same how when our 90s babies were on the spectrum and we didn't know it, the teachers didn't know it, and the therapists didn't know. So I think that a lot of people now there needs to be specific training for neurodivergent children.
So I
Truly.
totally agree, Laverne, and Laverne was with us last year.
She
So
did say that,
she
yes.
yeah, so she understands like that's really a big part of what ADE is trying to
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
And if again, if you follow Audacity Dare to Educate, you'll see the programs we
Hmm.
have. We have a program next month, Andrea, where it is. That's exactly what we're doing. We have a community track, we have a teacher track, we have a family track, and we have somebody coming out specifically for the youth so that they can embrace their
Hmm.
neurodivergency. But Laverne,
Hmm.
that is exactly what we're trying to do because
Hmm.
my dad is a nurse and he would say like he was so frustrated that nobody ever told him about neurodiversity
Divergent.
because
Yeah.
if you have a patient, you know, who is autistic and you touch them a certain way and you trigger them, like I wouldn't know as a nurse, right? And
Right.
so being able to see what those signs are, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and the same thing with, again, we're talking that, but bipolar is neurodiverse,
Come on. Let's discuss. Let's
right?
discuss. Let's
So
discuss.
again, we y'all walking around, we walking around saying, "Oh, they just crazy," right? One minute they
Yeah.
happy, next minute they say, right? No, like it's the actual neurodiversity. It is, it is a neurological situation, and we need to know what the signs are, and we need to know how to tell when somebody is
Hmm.
about to go into a manic phase, right?
Yeah.
And what that looks like, and
Hmm.
how to
Hmm.
navigate it.
Hmm. Hmm. There's so many comments here. I just need to. get here. Marguerite says teachers have not been properly trained to guide or
At
lead
all.
children that are not typical. So
At
there's
all.
that. Laverne says I will be interviewing two parents with children on the spectrum at the end of the month. Their story is amazing. One has an
Hmm.
adult child that just graduated from boot camp from the Navy. I'm telling you, we treat
Listen.
them like they're, these weird individuals. And I'm telling you, there's something going on here. Laverne says, I have to check to see if my autism educator in the field will be in the attendance and an amazing parent I invited. She says, wow, there's a lot. And children who are not diagnosed properly, they
Hmm.
poor things, they go through so much. She
And
said,
again,
yes.
so that's why I had the conversation about like it's not even that some parents aren't trying to get their kids identified, right?
Yes.
But if you identify an autistic child as a behavior problem,
Hmm.
now what? Now where are we, right?
Absolutely.
Or even if you identify that there's some emotional disturbance there, Andrea, I still need somebody to answer me the question how we have so over half of the special education identifications in the city of Philadelphia are Black kids, right? 77% of the emotional disturbance identification are Black kids, but we have no psychologists and psychiatrists like on staff, like seeing these guys. I'm not talking doing evaluations. I'm talking how do you have 77% of kids that you have identified have emotional disturbance, aka mental health issues, but there's no psychiatrist? How do we not have psychiatrists in the school?
And that's why we have to audacity to dare to educate.
Yes.
You're going to keep growing,
Thank you.
because this is crazy. Let me see what else
Hmm.
is happening. Marguerite says I have definitely walked the walk as a parent and advocate. I'm going to rearrange my schedule and invite my neurodiverse son to join me at this Saturday event.
Oh, thank
Excellent,
you,
Marguerite.
Lorraine.
Laverne said yes, my son would say I just want to be treated normal like everyone else.
That's
Teresa
what
said
my child
strength.
says
Yes,
too.
neurodivergent
Hmm.
children have strength and a specific passion.
Hmm.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Hmm.
Viola says my daughter has a home daycare, has a couple of children on the spectrum. She needs to attend this. I will let her know.
Yes, please
Leroy
do.
says my granddaughter is an artist at 15. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Grand
Listen,
Rising. I'm telling you, they're
listen.
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. If we could see them just as they are, learn how to listen to them, their voices, so that they can learn on the path that they learn. The other problem we have in these United States of America is that they think you can only learn one particular way. And if
Oh,
you don't learn that
absolutely.
particular way, then
They
you're not
don't learn
considered
it.
normal.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. So I have a
Hmm.
tutoring client. He has officially been identified
Hmm.
as dyslexic. And so we were doing a phonemic awareness exercise where we were doing digraphs, which is two letters that make one
Hmm.
sound, right? And so you usually cut out the picture and match it with the diagraph. He says to me, I want to draw the pictures. I don't want to cut them out. Now, to your point, Andrea, I'm like, there are plenty of teachers that no, that's not what we're doing. That's not what
And
the
that's not what I
assignment is,
asked you to
and
do,
that's
right?
not what I asked you, right? And I
Hmm.
was like, go ahead, because at the end of the day, the assignment is, do you know which picture
Hmm.
go with which sound, right? But let me tell you what I learned about my student that day. My student can sight draw.
Wow.
So he looked at the picture and literally drew the picture exactly how it looked at so he's extremely artistic, right?
Hmm.
And so again, like you, if we are so focused, if we are so narrow minded about how it has to look like how we and we're not willing to be flexible, those are the things we miss. Now I can
Right.
take
And then the
that.
student becomes frustrated
Yes, they
because they're
do.
not being heard, and then it becomes a behavior issue
And then
versus
becomes a
the adult
behavioral
not really
issue.
paying attention and looking at what's
Yeah,
going on here.
absolutely.
Um, Marguerite says my son says that those on the wheel are typical. Everyone else is. I listen. I agree with your son. because we are some special people out here, and looking at the brilliance of neurodiverse children as different and a disability. They do not. Laverne says, I will be interviewing two parents with children. I did that already.
Mhm.
Lord have mercy, there's so many things going on
Oh,
here.
I'm glad
Laura says,
everybody.
I am learning a lot here. I had no idea about these things. Laverne
Mm,
says, nothing bothers me more when people use the word crazy to describe what they don't understand.
understand.
Jasenia says, oh, Lord, y'all are talking. Laverne Marguerite says, touching my son without his permission is a no-no,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
But again,
Um,
Marguerite, like you say that and you grasp that now. You're
mhm,
able to accept that now.
mhm.
Like when I grew up, it was like, I'm a parent. What you mean?
I can't
Da-da-da,
touch you,
right?
right? Mhm,
So again,
mhm.
it's like, and that's why it's also called, and maybe you saw this, Andre, like the program that we do these things under is called Speaking in Sped, because it's
Yes,
learning their language, right? Like
absolutely.
at the end of the day, we owe them that.
Mhm,
We owe them that. Yeah.
mhm. Viola says, whew, Laverne says, I see that. I also wonder how much is environmental based on my observations. That's a whole nother kettle of fish. The
That's a
issue that I
whole
see,
nother
though, Laverne, is that
conversation.
just as many white children, depending on where they live, and then I'm talking about in the district that they're in, where their environment is, are diagnosed as neurodivergent too.
They
You just
are
see it,
the
Philadelphia is filled
difference.
with black children. But it,
Yeah,
it
and
really is. You see it everywhere.
yeah, Laverne,
Viola
and,
says,
and that was in my bio, right?
yeah,
Like at the end of the day, a lot of them aren't as hesitant about getting their children identified because, like, if I ask for my child to be sent to an approved private school, it's all out in the white neighborhoods, right?
yes,
Like at the end of the day, this information, believe it or not, y'all, has been around since 1944
absolutely.
about how to teach these kids. Now
Mhm.
you compare that to when we were allowed to be educated, right, as a
Mhm,
community, and
mhm.
yeah.
Then
So
you get
yeah,
then you understand.
then you understand.
Um,
Hmm.
oh my God. Lord have mercy. The comments here. Viola says, my 19-year-old male cousin did not want to come to Philly after his first year of college. He spent the whole summer at my house. I don't know what that means, Viola. Jesenia says, as a parent who works in early intervention, some parents are not ready to accept their child may be on the wheel. And it also
Hmm.
depends on how we approach the parent, right?
It
If you
is.
approach the parent and
No,
says, I think there's something
absolutely.
wrong with your child, they're gonna be like, what the hell are
Absolutely.
you talking about? No parent wants to hear there's
Absolutely.
something wrong with their child. You can say, I think your
Absolutely.
child learns differently. We have to use our
Yes.
language matters. We have to use the language that
Absolutely.
matters. Um,
Absolutely.
Marguerite says, I took my son outside of Philadelphia to be identified, then worked with Elwin and Drexel. Oh Lord, the
Yeah,
conversations here.
I took my son to Cooper. It was an hour away.
Yes, to get
It
him
was an
diagnosed.
hour
He's a
away.
graduate. She said, then I worked with Elwin and Drexel Medicine to get him diagnosed. He's a graduate of Central High School and has a computer science degree from Temple. Look at that. Alexandra
Hmm.
says, my cousin has three children, all on different levels of the spectrum. Her eldest has started high school this year. They wanted to put her on medication as a child. She said, no, all the children are thriving. Yes, I
Hmm.
love this. Thank
Hmm.
you, thank you, thank you. Randy says, two of my favorite black women. Shakila needs to be on a national platform. I agree.
Oh.
Deserves far more support from funding sources as well within educational spaces. Don't worry, Randy, it's coming. We're going to keep doing this conversation because it is absolutely necessary. Laverne says they took away the small classrooms. The crowded classrooms prevent teachers from knowing how children learn differently. Instead, are passing children through illiterate.
Hmm.
Jesus. Oh, I need
But
all of
again,
you to be at this event on Saturday.
the teachers need to know, right? Like the teachers they don't know how to teach this
Yeah.
way,
And
right?
imagine how it's frustrating for them because they don't have aides in the classroom. They've got to gather all these children. Lord Jesus.
And then can we talk
Lord.
about one-on-ones? There are a lot of
Yes.
one-on-ones that are not educated
Yes.
in the child that they have, right? So
Right.
if you have a one-on-one for an autistic child, but they're not ABA certified, how do, like, you know what I mean? we gotta,
Yeah,
yeah, we just gotta train everybody. We gotta
yeah.
train everybody.
Laverne says, we notice that here in pre-K, so we teach them how to respect each other's spaces.
Mm-hmm.
It goes beyond how to respect each other's spaces, though. You understand that these children just don't, the certain noises, certain things that happen around them sets them off. So
Yes.
it's a different way. It's a different way.
And I
Andrea
think
Robin,
it's about to like teaching them that everybody's different. If we could start from there, teaching each other that everybody's different, but what does that difference bring to the table? Right?
mm-hmm,
Again, not looking at difference as other,
mm-hmm,
but what does it bring to the table?
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I end up looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Andrea says, I'm not able to make your event on Saturday, but how else can I support ADE? You know, just yesterday, as I was talking to him, I said, you need to come on here. We need to talk about this event on Saturday. Sometimes, just work with me, girl. Sometimes I'm just like, woo, but it was
It's
so
okay.
necessary. Jasenia
Thank
says, I have a
you.
mother. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Jasenia said, I have a mother who said she will never accept the diagnosis. My first case was Native American over 22 years ago. Wow.
Mm.
Oh, Viola says her nephew is autistic also. Now that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Leroy
Got
says,
it.
my son, my grandson, and granddaughter is on the wheel. All have different struggles and also have strength. Thank you, Leroy,
Mm-hmm.
for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. Viola says his mother is listening. Yes, I appreciate that.
Oh.
Jazania says the majority of my children on my caseload on the wheel are African American boys. However, I track some of these kids through the years, and many of them are doing well. It all depends, I think, not just on what's going on in the school, but family support. I have an
Absolutely.
amazing daughter-in-law.
Absolutely.
Amazing. She, when the twins were two, she said, I just want to, she took them and she said, I just want to see where they are because they were born 6 weeks early, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said to to them, I really would prefer, even though they seem to be okay, it's all right. Even though they
Mm-hmm.
seem to be okay, can you let
Mm-hmm.
me have some services for them to just make sure that they'll be ready? And then she put them in preschool.
Oh.
They started preschool on Monday at 3. She said, I want them to get on the bus. I want them to work with other
Mm.
children. I want them to be around people so they can understand each other,
Each
right?
other.
And
Yeah.
then their teachers, their
Absolutely.
preschool teachers came to the house and visited them. Baby, my daughter-in-law is a beast. She's a beast. So she said,
Wow.
if there's anything going on, they seem to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking, they're doing their letters, they're all the things talking to. But she just wanted to make sure that if there was anything there, that it would be caught early. I looked at her and said,
Absolutely.
Mom, I don't want my child to either one of my children to go into school and then they say, oh, there's something wrong. Da 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 da. I'm working now. She started at 2. 2.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been
Mm-hmm.
working with them. And so they're talking and laughing and running around. I think if she did not do that, that there may have been an issue, right? Because
Mm.
they were first time parents. They were trying to navigate it. The babies didn't walk for a while. Now they went up and down all over the place talking to me, telling me what they not gonna do at 3, right? But I so appreciate her. And then the youngest baby, I guess because she watched what happened with the twins, the youngest baby is doing her ABCs in Spanish. The teachers came to visit. They were like, when can we get her? She's
See?
not even 2 yet, right? So,
Yeah.
as a parent, what I'm saying to you is, as a parent, we can feel and know if something might be off with our children,
Mm-hmm.
and we do the work to get them to where they need to be.
Absolutely.
My 50-year-old sister, I don't think my parents were like, well, they didn't even know the words neurodivergent. All these things
No.
they didn't know. But
No.
what we had in our family was, a family of people that would work together and help each other. So she took her combination,
Absolutely.
right? Went to college, got her
Absolutely.
master's degree, passing all these hard as hell tests that the bank make her take. Right,
Yeah.
so she can continue to work with her clients, etc. So
Right.
I'm very clear that people who are on the wheel should not be treated as pariahs or treated as, oh my God, you're special, or we have to change the language that we're using because I'm telling you,
Absolutely.
they are accomplishing things that we can't even think or imagine to
Fathom.
accomplish.
We don't even, they literally don't think the same as us.
Yes,
Literally, they
yes.
don't think the same as us. And I'm not, again, that's not a negative.
It
We
is not
need, we
brilliant,
need their brain. Like we need the way
brilliant.
they think, so absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant. So I am
Yeah.
loving it. Um,
Yeah.
So and when you're in that space and you've been in it for years and you're like, these children are just, they're all over the place, da 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 da. Nope. Sit and take a different look and say, what am I missing here as an adult to
Absolutely.
help these young people? Laverne
Absolutely.
says we don't know and there are no resources and staff support, so we deal with behavior issues. Hold on one second. So but Jesus, there's a lot of comment here. Jesus, we don't know, and there are no resources and staff support, so we deal with behavior issues and spend more time requesting behavioral support. Alexandra says,
So
for my
Laverne, part of that is, again, we don't necessarily know what the identification is. So again, there's certain neurodivergencies called like ADHD and executive functioning. When people think ADHD, they just think kids are bouncing off the walls,
right,
right? Nobody thinks about the impulsivity of executive function and ADHD. So then when the child is impulsive and they just do stuff without thinking, because that's what
mm-hmm,
executive functioning is, you don't
mm-hmm,
connect dots in your brain about,
mm-hmm,
the cause and effect, right?
mm-hmm,
So then you're impulsive, and that is often looked at as a behavioral issue because you're
mm-hmm.
usually impulsive about something that you ain't got no
Right,
business doing, right?
right,
Like, and so you get me. So again, we don't look deeper and go, well, why did you do that?
mm-hmm,
And I don't know if you ever talk to somebody who's depressed and then you ask them like, well, how can I help you get out of
mm-hmm,
this depression? They go, I don't know, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
People who have ADHD and executive functioning disorder and they have the impulsivity, it's the same thing. They do something that seems off the wall to us, and you go, well, why did you do that? Why didn't you think?
Yeah,
And they go, I don't know. And then you
right.
go, what do you mean you
And so
don't,
you
right?
just
And then
right.
there's
And then you think
you
they're just being defiant
and
and don't want to listen. And
exactly,
then you say things like these bad
exactly,
children and they're gonna end up in prison. And you gotta be
exactly,
mindful what comes out of your mouth
exactly. You
as you are
gotta be
describing these
careful.
children. Oh, I'm so glad you invited me
Yes,
to moderate this conversation. I was
absolutely.
coming at 3:45. Girl, I'll be there at 2. I, I'm gonna move some. I'll be there at 2 because these conversations have to happen.
They have to
Um,
happen.
um, Lord have mercy. Y'all give me a minute. Let me read some of this stuff. Oh, Jesus. Whew. Alexandra says, for my cousin's eldest, it was the pattern of floor that would set her off. Yep, I know one adult who is almost 40. The certain patterns that she sees on the television or on floors will set them completely off, right?
Hmm.
Jasenia, yes, we are learning the earlier diagnosis and receiving supports. The earlier we do this, the better. That's
The
Laverne.
earlier
Jasenia
is
says,
the
a
better.
lot of daycare centers were, wait, y'all, give me a minute. Lord Jesus. Jasenia said a lot of daycare centers were classifying these children as behavioral problems instead of
They
getting the
were.
necessary training. They
Yep.
need to work with these children.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Viola says his mother is commenting with me. Good. Leroy says, I'm interested in having an autistic health fair. Can you give me her information? We're going to give that to you in 1 second. Marguerite says, I believe my father, who was born in 1937, was on the autism wheel. You all are still talking. Do y'all know I got to go to the gym? Wait,
And
wait,
I
wait,
gotta
wait,
go.
wait.
And I gotta go to work.
Right. I believe my father, who was born in 1937, was on autism wheel. He was brilliant and an amazing educator, yet so quirky. And
Absolutely.
that's my husband, quirky as hell. I would write some stories about him. They're like, what? He said what? Yes.
Hmm.
Early intervention is critical. Laverne says the movie called The Accountant is a great watch to see a child on the spectrum from child to adult. Absolutely. You know what I think is
Hmm.
happening here? Light bulbs are going off. And
That
that is what
accountant
we needed to
movie
happen.
is
Yes.
phenomenal. And I don't know if you saw the second one. You actually have to see the second one. When I
Mhm.
did my presentation in Africa, I used part of the second movie in my
Oh, wow.
presentation. You got to
Jasenia
see the
says that
second one.
Jasenia
Hmm.
says I have an appointment early on morning and Saturday. I will try to make it over there. There are adults on the spectrum that turn to drugs to cope. That is what is
Yes.
not talked about as well. So we're going to talk about it on Saturday.
And not
So
just on a spectrum,
yes.
like neurodivergent, there are neurodivergent kids
Hmm.
that are struggling with marijuana addiction and drug addiction, or because they're not accepted, they're looked at as
As
problems,
problems.
right?
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
bounced from place to
Yeah.
place, or they
Yeah.
feel like they're not understood by their family. So
And much less the
absolutely.
general public. Laura says so they have superpowers and the world is putting them down because they're different. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, that's
Alexandra,
exactly what's
that's exactly
happening.
is. Jasenia says, honestly, how many of, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus. Honestly, how many of those working at these daycare centers are actually trained, certified teachers? But guess what? You can now pass the message on to these teachers and let them watch this, Laverne.
Mm-hmm.
Let this be a case study. Let them watch. Viola says, I took my cousin to the market, the beach. He washed his clothes and cleaned the bathroom he used, and I left him there alone when needed. They're not special people. They're just different. They think
They're
differently.
just
They behave
different.
differently. Laverne says, not many, Alexandra. And
But
that
the
is the issue.
teachers, but the so again, you have certified. I literally last year had a teacher leaving her master's degree. She was graduating in 1 month with her special education certification and had not heard the word dyslexia at all
Crazy as hell.
during her whole master's program. So again, this is not about. This is why we do what we do, right?
And this
There
is
are a
why
lot
this
of
is so
teachers
necessary.
who, yes, teachers are doing the best they can with the information they are given.
Hmm.
So we have decided that we're not vilifying people. We're just
Yes.
giving you information. Like at the end of the day, we are going to run on the premise that teachers want to do the best they can for their
Right.
students.
But the
So,
curriculum in colleges have to change because
oh,
if you're graduating with
absolutely.
a master's degree and you don't know the word dyslexia, then there's something going on with the curriculum there.
And unfortunately, Andrea, it's only certain colleges. There are some colleges here in Philly, but there are only certain colleges that do it. Yeah.
Marguerite says,
Hmm.
when my son was diagnosed in fourth grade, I stopped working for 3 years to be his advocate because I made
Same.
too much for him to qualify for services. I was in his school almost daily. Laverne says,
Same.
Alexandra, yep. Alexandra says a lot of the early educators have master's degrees and training in their fields more than teachers. There are those that get numbers for money, and that is the problem.
Hmm.
Whew. All right, listen, we got to get off this air.
Yes.
I have a whole full
I
schedule
definitely have to
today, and I
go.
didn't know we were going to go 15 minutes over, but tell them how to find you and tell them where the event is this Saturday.
So you can find me at www.audacitytodaretoeducate.org. That's the quickest way to find me. I am on Instagram at ADE Lab, and I am
Mhm.
on Facebook at ADE Audacity to Dare to Educate. We
Okay.
will be coming together this Saturday at the Community of Compassion CDC, 6150 Cedar Avenue. There's parking on the street. You could park at the Bryant School up the street, or there's parking behind the church on Hazel Avenue. Yeah, and like I said, just come learn. And
Mhm.
I'm really, really, really excited about this panel. It
Mhm.
was our biggest hit last year, Andrea. So again,
Baby, this
I'm
year
really excited.
we're going to see a thing or two. And so, for those of you, someone said that they have a child diagnosed with a dual diagnosis of Down syndrome and autism. Let's
Yes,
just
that
stay
that is
challenging.
the
Tracy,
case.
if you can come, that'll be great.
Please
Leroy, if you
come.
can come, all of you under the sound of our voices, if you can
Yeah.
show up on Saturday, please show up. Too many of us have neurodivergent children and adults in our families and behave as if
Yes.
that's just so. And our language matters. Let me stop this by saying our language matters. Stop saying they are slow. Stop saying
Yes.
they
Please
are
stop.
they have a
Lazy.
disability. Stop saying
Yes.
those
Stop.
words, please.
Stop.
Please, please,
And
please.
lastly, Andrea, to I think it was Andrea's question about support. Andrea, you can do that on the website. There's a link
Okay.
right there on the website
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
support us.
Oh,
Hmm.
Alexandra says, Mobile, you're the one with great topic and guests. Don't blame us. It is so true. I love you all dearly. I gotta go. I've
Thank
got a full
you.
day. Shakila, I will see you at 2 o'clock on
Yes.
Saturday. I know my,
Thank you,
my
ma'am.
part doesn't start until 4, but I want to be a part of the event and what's going on there. Y'all show up 6150.
Your part starts at 3. It ends at 4.
Sorry. Well,
That's okay. We end at 4.
I would have been late for my own thing. All right, my part starts at 3 o'clock. Okay,
Yes,
I'll
yes.
be there. I'll be there early. I have to do something at
Hmm.
noon, and right after that, I'm gonna come straight over. So you may see me. Yeah, I'll be there around 2. I'll get there
Okay,
around 2.
sounds
All
great.
right. I
Thank
love you all
you.
dearly. Thank you so much, my sisters. Is there a phone number where anyone can call you? They need to talk to you.
215-917-7457.
215-917-7
7457. And if you
seven
go
four.
57.
Yes. All right.
And
I
if you
love you,
go
my
to the
sister.
website, you could just send me an email too, right from the
Okay.
website.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, you about to blow all the way up and through. But y'all, I'll see you
Thank
all on
you.
Saturday, okay?
Yes.
Love you, my sister. Thank you for reaching out when you did. God knows how many months ago. It has been
Thank
a
you.
pleasure getting to know you. And
Thank
I
you.
cannot wait because I too want to learn so that I approach these children differently.
Thank
God
you.
bless. See you on
Thank you.
Saturday. This
Hmm.
episode of Mornings with Marva is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye bye. Bye, darlings. Woohoo. Bye, darlings.